Let's go, let's go, let's go. Alright, people wanna hate every day, it's okay.
My name's Jesse May. I lived life on the edge from the age of 13 till 21, which eventually caused me to have to serve time in federal prison. These stories are from that time, my time in prison, and my life after as I built my business. I don't condone or recommend any of the reckless behavior I took part in during my younger years. But if you'd like to hear the whole story, like and subscribe. Reckless Success. Alright, Reckless Success. We got my buddy TJ Hale on. He owns Hale Transportation and the Struggle Bus out of Carterville, Illinois. Another entrepreneur. Me and TJ, we go way back, probably 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there, probably 6th grade when I moved to Carterville. But we've had some good times. Probably one of the best times for us as kids, being silly, was this new family moved to town. And we were all pretty tight knit, so we didn't like the new family. And we seen them one day. We were in Heron, and for whatever reason, just being kids, we got into it with the guy on his bicycle. He was part of that family, and we ended up spraying him with mace. We were like 14 or 15. We had some mace we found at the gas station or whatever. Sprayed him with mace. So that evening, the family, and it was a family of people. I mean, now that I know them, they're all my friends, and they're good people. But at this time, I didn't know them, and they like to fight, and we like to fight, so it all went hand in hand. So that night, they caught TJ and another buddy up at the gas station, and the family jumped on them. So then we got wind of it. Actually, me and our other buddy was at the Hardee's right next door in the drive-thru. But we got wind of it, so I called over to my cousin in Heron, and we set up a fight between this family and us. And they went through Heron, and they got a bunch of people, and we went through Carterville. At the time, I was living in Carterville. And,
we just rounded up everybody we get a hold of.
Yeah, we got everybody. So we go out. I think we all piled in just a few cars. Parked a bunch of cars in town.
Initially, yeah.
We get out to Burr Woods, which was where we'd all go mudding and off-roading and having a good time. And we're waiting out there, and you can see their cars coming from Heron. There's like 4 or 5 cars coming around this big curve, and they pull up. And it looks like West Side Story. They've got 20, 30 people. We've got 20, 30 people. There's people with weapons, pipe wrenches, knives. It looked like West Side Story. So we go up, town versus town. We get up close, and they're yelling a bunch of stuff. We're yelling a bunch of stuff, and I think we all just took off after it. And we get in this big fight. TJ, what happened on your end?
The mom was at the back of the car.
Who we love now. We know these people.
Yeah, it turns out to be a great lady, and hell, I mean, it all falls back on us. We were terrible children. That's just the bottom line.
Right.
But yeah, she pointed at her son and said, "Go get him." And so he come charging at me, and we tussled. We rolled in the ditch, and another buddy come running up and grabbed me. 2 other guys are on top of me at this point.
Right.
I'm keeping in mind, there's no less than 75 people now.
There's a lot of people
around.
So
we've got cars lined plumb all the way down the road.
We had one guy that
both sides
is an idiot. So while we're all fighting, instead of helping us fight, he's on our side. He's going down their line of cars and taking all their keys and throwing the keys out in the field. So now they're stuck in our town. And I mean, this is an old-fashioned beatdown. I got hit with a pipe wrench. One of our guys He took the pipe wrench, he throws it down, he goes to fighting. Me and my cousin fought, and I see the dad out of the corner of my eye, and the dad hit me with a pipe wrench right in the face, and I'm talking, laid me out. I'm out in the ditch, and I had the same scenario. I woke up to a buddy getting guys off of me because they were stomping on me. So we all get done with this big fight.
Before that, there was another guy coming down the road, sitting in the windowsill, driving with a machete, swinging it for no good reason. I mean, it just got wild.
It got wild.
It was crazy.
I remember at one point, like, the fight had stopped, and we were all arguing, kind of. And I remember one of our buddies, he was a towboat deckhand. He's a real jacked up guy. And he's sitting there, and these 3 guys, they flip out knives, and they're going to stab him. And his buddy walks behind him, and he's like, hey, grab those guys. And his buddy kept walking. He didn't hear him, and he's like, fuck. So then this guy, instead of getting stabbed, he jumps in his truck, leaves. This is while this fight's going on. Leaves him and another one of our friends, and they get in a high-speed chase through town. And they run right through town. Cops are chasing them. They ran through the chain that used to be beside Farm Fresh, busted that log chain. He wrecks out on his driveway. He gets to his driveway, our buddy. Wrecks his truck. Takes off running down his driveway. The cops run him over. So he was going to get guns because they pulled knives. That was the
law pulled a gun and fired it in the air, and we didn't know what kind.
Yeah, they pulled out guns. It was brutal.
What age are you guys in this story?
We were 16.
No, we were less than that. I didn't have a license.
I was probably 15, 16.
I don't think you had a license either because our buddy was driving.
Yeah, we're like 15.
Yeah, well, at best we were 15.
Yeah. So
the driver in the trunk out on the Birdwoods Road. He was in the trunk.
Right. So then we finally that ended up ending with the cops coming. Cops came. They took us all. I remember that night. They breathalyzed us. We were all drunk. And I remember they took me home, and they didn't even knock on my parents' door. They dropped me off at the corner.
Yep.
They told me to go inside. My truck was out at Burwoods, and they said, don't go back and get your truck. Everybody was back out there and had their vehicles within 30 minutes. I didn't even go inside the house. He dropped me off. I waited until he left and went up to the corner and called somebody to come pick me up. So then the next night, I'm working at Dairy Queen. Yeah, because I had a work permit. So I'm working at Dairy Queen flipping burgers. My little town's got like 6,000 people at the time. I know everybody. I work at Dairy Queen. So I'm flipping burgers. And I've got this big pipe wrench bruise on my face. Like, I had a bruise the shape of a pipe wrench on my face where I got hit. And I turn around, and there they all are. The whole family. There's like 15 of them. I've got my little spatula in hand, like, shit.
Yep.
So they're going to wait for me after work. That night, everybody came up there, and they didn't show up. So then, the next night, the way I remember it, which everybody remembers it a little different, was my brother had found out about me and my cousin. And we weren't blood cousins, but we grew up together.
Right.
In our eyes, we were cousins. So...
Small town for you.
Small town. So he got wind that me and him were fighting. And they got him and another guy, mainly that one guy, and there was a carload of them, like 5 of them, and they tricked them with girls. You can always trick somebody with some tail.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So a couple girls called them and said to meet him at this house. And when they pulled in, one of our buddies pulled in behind him in his Jeep. He was waiting and blocked him in. And
it was down a long gravel driveway too.
Right.
I mean, it took a good ways off the main road to get back here. So once
it was
they
a
got
half mile
there,
off the main road.
there wasn't really nowhere to go.
Yeah, and nothing but trees.
Right.
And they blocked him in. And I remember I was at work, but they all took turns beating on dude.
And the car got turned around and was facing back towards the main road when the Jeep pulled out, blocked him in, and then a few guys run around and slash tires.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, instantly, all 4 tires were...
I think dude took their keys again, too. I know he did. Because they were stuck there. They had to tow the car. The same dude that took the keys the night before took the keys when they blocked him in.
Yep.
Through him.
Yep. And so then they refused to get out of the car at this point. Like, no, they were sitting there.
They're surrounded by...
They won't even take their seatbelt off. And they're like,
right.
Not happening.
So, Buddy took a beating.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the end of that one.
Yeah,
Once that dude got that beaten.
Cops came,
yeah.
People ran off, some people got some mob action. And
yeah, there was a group of people on our side that got in trouble for... There was a girl that had a cast. She had broke her wrist in the fight.
That previous night.
The previous, or a couple nights before, she got hit with the same pipe wrench I got hit with and broke her wrist. So she's mad about it too. And she got it, the dude was in the car. She held the car door frame and was beating him with that cast.
Yeah. And then another guy come up, and I surely to God in my mind have to believe he had brass knuckles on, because I've never seen anybody's face. Like, he just rocked the car, hit that dude. His nose just exploded
Right.
all over the windshield. And I'm like,
This is the dude that went and ran through the log chain. The same guy.
and they took off through the
Couple
woods.
nights. We
Straight
had
back
some-
out through the woods.
Yeah,
Gone.
everybody would take off out into the woods. The cops would come,
Yep.
and they were gone. But some charges were given out on that one.
Yeah, they got a few.
Did any of you guys get in trouble that were underage, or they just dropped it for everybody
No,
else?
we didn't.
I hauled ass.
Yeah, most of us, we
I
never
called
get
my
caught.
mom and was like, come get me. I'm over at so-and-so's. And I ran down the road as fast as I could. And
Yeah.
I jumped in the car. I was like, we gotta go home
The only
now.
one that would get caught was the idiot that always threw the keys out. And whenever I got off work, so I'm at Dairy Queen, I get off work, I go out there because I hear what's going on. And this is before cell phones. We didn't have, I may have had a cell phone, but we didn't text yet. Text cost 10 cents or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't do that.
And you had to hit every button 3 or 4 times to get
Right.
to the letter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I left work. And I headed out that way. And as I turned on that road, there's the idiot who throws keys out. He's pulled over out front of the driveway. It's still a half mile from the house. And they got him with a lookalike substance, I think, at that night because he was just an idiot, always doing stuff like that.
We
But-
were some fighting kids, you know.
We were
Looking
some-
back, talking right now, just thinking about every instance of us. I can name probably 100 different scenarios where we just went looking for fights.
Right. Well, we talked about this earlier today. We grew up as part of the last generation before the cell phones hit. So, like, we were getting wild. And our cell phones and texting didn't start till I was about 20 or 19, 20. And Facebook didn't start till I was probably like 24. So, we had no clue about any of that. Cell
I got
phones were
my
just for
first cell
calling.
phone when I was 16.
When you were
When I
16.
got my license, Mom gave me her cell phone. Actually, it wanted to be on loan, Nokia.
Nokia's.
Yeah.
Snake.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly. That thing got buried out in Burwoods, froze over overnight in the mud puddle. Picked it up the next day, turned it on.
Still work.
Worked.
It was like a brick.
Yeah, it was too. Yeah, we didn't have to worry about people calling cops on the spot. They had to go get a landline. Unless
The
they had
trail
a landline.
cameras weren't like now where they're live to people's. Now, if you cut through somebody's woods, which you wouldn't want to do, but if you did, they could have a Wi-Fi trail camera and know that you're there right then.
Yep.
We go out
absolutely.
to a woods and just party. Nobody's been here in 2 years, you can tell.
Right.
um,
It was a different time back then, though, too. Like Burwoods, you know, the fellow that owned it ended up living right behind my parents, but he let us ride out there. You
Right.
know, sketchy still, yeah, insurance, somebody got hurt, but we were 4-wheelers out there for my whole childhood. We, you know, partied out there, we did everything. But we weren't in town tearing stuff up, robbing people, doing all this crazy stuff. Well, it was crazy, but not in town, not in Cargill.
right. We had a place, we had an area outside of town that we could go and off-road, climb hills. It was old strip mine. So they've reclaimed a lot of it now. The Burwoods is gone. One time I came up, there was just, it would be strip hills and big mud holes where everybody off-road. I came up a hill in the back on the Raptor, and right when I got to the top, there was a barbed wire fence, and it went over to somebody's private property, and I shouldn't have been over there, but I was dumb and young and didn't know anybody. So I go up to the top of this hill, and somebody had cut the fence before me to where they could go under it, but the top barbed wire was still there, so you'd have to duck.
Yep.
And right when I topped over that hill, there's a guy standing there with an axe handle, ready to hit me,
I
and
know
I stopped.
exactly who you're talking about.
And I shut the four-wheeler off, and I said, what are you doing with that axe handle? And he said, I'm waiting for you to come under that fence. And I started my four-wheeler up, just turned around, and went back down the hill. I was like, okay.
I know
thank you.
exactly where you're talking about.
Yeah, duly noted.
Tell you though, that riding out there is probably what got my driving skills, or me thinking that I had driving skills what
Right.
they were. So, heck, when I went to join the Army, they showed me videos of Humvees ramping and driving, and I was
Right,
like,
you're ready.
sign me up for
Right.
that. One time. Course in my military career, one time did I get to do that.
Right.
Threw my gunner plumb out of the hatch. It was a whole mess of stuff.
I used Burwoods to escape the cops many times.
I know.
I would
son of a
slide out
bitch,
there.
You got me in trouble one time out there running around on your Raptor, and the cops took me and my cousin and another fella home.
They give me my Raptor back, let me go.
They never caught you. They only come out there because they figured that's where you went.
Right.
And we were sitting out there. Another girl that was there, my cousin had his car, and I'm not kidding when I say I literally took a sip of a beer because I didn't have anything to drink,
Right.
and I come out there late. So I took a sip. Now, you've been drinking? I was like, well, no, I could smell it. So I got to get
We were
the
like
back
little
of
kids.
this. Yeah. Yeah, well, my cousin just turned 16. He's right out a year older than me.
Right.
So I didn't have a license, car, nothing. His mom is in Florida at this time. So him and our other buddy, they take all of us to my mom's and like, here, they're on
Because
you.
they were looking for me.
And yeah, because they were looking for you.
Right.
So we just walked out of the back gate of the house,
I don't know how many times
back into town.
I'd been running from cops, and I'd just cut through wherever. And I don't know how many times I'd cut through places and I'd see shit going on that I shouldn't see. And I'd be like, run! Get out of here. And people would be looking at me like, shit. And then here comes cops behind me.
Yep.
But, yeah, we had some good times. That family that we were talking about, they're good people. And no hard feelings against them. We had a good time. They had just as good of a time fighting us as we did fighting them.
Oh, yeah. We still joke about it every time we run into each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something that lives throughout the decades.
Actually, the first time, away from fighting and onto cops, the first time I ever got in trouble with the drugs that sent me away was I was 15. So how old are you, TJ, right now?
38.
So you were probably 14. I was 15, and we were with my girlfriend who was like 17 or 18.
Yep.
Yeah. She had a new car, so that was always a plus.
She was 18.
Yeah, she was 18.
Yeah.
I was like 15. Anyways, so we go to another town further away and we pick up some stuff, about 1.5 of this product. And as we get back, she's dropping us off at your house, and
I was out of the car.
yeah,
I had completely got out and walked through the fence.
right. You got out of the car and went to open the gate, and as I'm getting out, telling her bye, she's like, "Let me hit that one more time." I'm like, "Okay." So she hits this thing, this paraphernalia. She's hitting it, and when she gets done, she's got this crazy look on her face, and I'm like, "What?" She said, "Look at your window." This is like what, midnight?
Oh,
2 o'clock in the
least,
morning.
yeah.
It's late at night. We're behind your house where there's no street lights. It's dark. I figured if anybody's coming, I'll see headlights or
My
something.
parents' business is right there where we stopped to get out, like right there.
Right.
And I was staying. I built the chicken coop, turned into a small apartment. Thought I was just king dingling.
Right.
That's where we were headed until shit went south real quick.
Right. So she's like, "Look at the window." And I focus from inside the car. We had the dome light on. And I focus and I see a cop standing at the window. And I'm like, shit. So I knew I had $150 worth of this product in the center console. And I just open it up. I reach in, grab it, and swallow it. I throw it in my mouth, swallow it. I took the paraphernalia and folded it up and stuck it under the seat. And the cop come around, yanked me out of the car. He tried to go in her side, but he was standing on her sides where he messed up. So it gave me time to, get in there and get this.
So why was this cop even at the location of TJ's parents' house?
So he was chasing a guy named, well, we'll call him Johnny. Another one of these guys that I later ended up hanging out with, he was always running from the cops. He was getting pulled over.
Is.
Yeah, he probably still is. He was getting pulled over for DUI, and he jumped out and took off running on foot. So as him and this cop were running past our car, as we're sitting there smoking these drugs, they looked in the window and they stopped. That's why there was no headlights or anything.
Right.
That's
yeah,
why
because that road back there at the back side of that business was a very small, quiet road.
Yeah.
Nobody ever went
It was
down.
dark. Nobody down it. So it was just my fortunate luck that the cop is chasing somebody on foot past our vehicle while we're sitting in there with the dome light on, acting stupid.
Yeah.
And then he come over to my side, drug me out, and now there's more cops showing up. And I remember I had a gravity baton on me at that time, which is what the cops carried. And I don't remember if I ever got to flick it out, but I remember hearing all theirs flick out as they put me in handcuffs very aggressively. They were pissed because they knew I just swallowed it. So thank God they didn't take me to have my stomach pumped.
Right.
They could have easily
Right.
done that. But the cop that I'm talking about at this story, he was after me forever, and he wasn't all there.
No, he wasn't real fond of me either. Which I mean, we gave him pretty good reason not to be friendly towards us. But I get out and I walk in to get this gate open or whatever, and get everything ready to open the door and be done with the night. And I hear yelling and a shadow. And I'm like, huh. So I said, my parents' business being right there, the van that they used, I crawled underneath of it, and I'm staring directly at the car and at Jesse. And they beat the brake, threw him up against our fence. The fence bent in, bends back out. Jesse hits the ground. They're all over him. Initially, it was just the one, and then
And I was only like
after
15
came.
years old, but
And
I
they got this
deserved
girl
it, I'm
sitting
sure.
on the hood of the car, wrapped in a blanket,
Right?
while they're beating the brakes on Jet. I'm like, something's not right here.
It happens. That happens in a small town also.
Yeah.
When they do get you, they like to, make sure you remember it because they know you're probably going to get away next time.
Right.
So at this time, it was before, the speed had really hit this area, so they didn't know what it was. And they asked me, they were like, is it black tar heroin? I just came up with some bullshit story that I was buying yellow jackets at a gas station, and and this guy seen me, and he offered me this for $6, and I was like, thought it would be a good idea. So I remember we got arrested that night. I think her car got impounded, and she got a paraphernalia ticket, and I was under 18. I was 15, so they had my stepdad and mom come get me, and we were all right back to the same house.
Did they
shortly
take you to
later.
the jail, or they just took you to the police station and called your parents?
They took me to the police station and called my parents. And I think since hers was just a paraphernalia, they towed her car, and then her mom came and got her with a ticket.
Yeah, I think she ended up going back over across the other town right after that. I know once they got everything cleaned away where I could get a fast clean break, I juked it. I hauled ass to my cousin's house where we all hung out all the time. And I'll never forget it. I ran upstairs and I stood in that damn corner and I was like, shit, I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. I'm in trouble and I ain't even done anything.
Right.
Here, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half later, Jesse comes walking upstairs. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what?
Dude, I'd swallowed that too, and I didn't puke it up. My punishment, I think, was to push mow the yard, which was like an acre. I push mowed that thing in like 30 minutes. I had it weed whacked, everything. But, so when I ended up going to court over that, I was 15. I got a paraphernalia ticket too, and I remember the judge asking, he said, have you had any marijuana since this? No, sir. I was like, no marijuana. And her too, and I think we both got a little probation for a couple months and got out of it. It was off my record because I was underage.
But you were never actually caught with anything bad. So, I mean, that right there.
I remember my stepdad, once he found out what I was doing, he was like, hell, son, I got a whole fucking bag of fertilizer out there in the barn. You want to go get a handful and eat it? He's like, what the fuck's the matter with you?
Actually, it wasn't long after that when anhydrous started getting stolen off the farms and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to disclose too much too soon.
Right. No, that was pretty well probably the closest real call I had to getting in trouble and just being around anything. That kind of sent me on a different path. So I kind of straightened up a little bit after that.
So you ended up joining, what was it, the Army?
Army.
You joined the Army at 18?
Yep.
So TJ went away. He joined the service. By this point, I was already too far gone, which I do regret. So I'd taken the ASVAB test, and I scored real high. But then I think it was probably my mom, whoever, told me that I wouldn't get the sign-on bonus and that they would try to trick me and whatnot. So I do regret that. Whatever it was, I didn't need, much of an excuse. I was already strung out at that time.
I've thought about this many times, especially since you've been home and we've gotten even closer since both of us being back in the same area. I believe we had to go on separate paths. Mine took me to the Army. While it did great things for me, I don't know that it would have done the same for you. I think you had to go to prison to be sitting where you are right now.
Right.
And I mean, I tell you damn near every time I see you how proud I am. And still to this day, I can't believe the circle that you've come to be sitting where you are right now. It impresses me so much, man.
I appreciate
I'm
that.
so proud to call you friend.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's it's definitely been a road for both of us. My road, I don't know, it was bad, but I did learn a lot. So like you said, it did take me good places, which is where I'm at today. I wouldn't change anything, but let's talk about that. So you got in at 18. You did your boot camp, and then did you go right away to?
I shipped out, and I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. That was
Okay.
my first duty station, and I got there, and it wasn't no time. I turned around and so I got there in August, and December 15th I shipped out to Iraq for my first tour.
Really?
So I mean, it wasn't.
So what year was this?
That was in 2005.
2005. So it was hot and heavy over there. So,
Yeah, it was still kicking. I mean, and they dropped us Camp Falcon, Baghdad. Saddam was still alive. I mean, we were right down the road from where they hung him, and
Right.
I was there when all that was going on. So it was wild.
There's a picture of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Camp Falcon right there.
So were you infantry or what?
Nope, I took those amazing driving skills that we learned as being a kid and
Right.
running from Interior Police, and they showed me this real cool video when I went to the recruiter about ramping a Humvee drift, and I was like, sign me
Oh,
up, I'm in.
Give me that.
Like, I'm already doing
$250,000
that. I'm
truck.
not getting paid for it. Like, nothing.
Right. How does a Humvee drive? Does it feel like you're driving in a tank, log wagon?
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it really is terrible, and it's got a lot of torque. Like,
Right.
we can drive through a lot of stuff.
Just
You weren't
low.
going fast.
Right.
You definitely weren't going fast. Man, I had that thing as fast as it go, and actually tossed my gunner out of the turret.
Oh yeah.
And he's passed away now. Fender. That's actually where my dog Moon came from.
Look at you.
That's my 21st birthday
Fucked up right there.
That's a good old non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
On my
Is it
21st.
O'Doul's? What do you got? Okay.
I don't remember if it was
see.
Coors or
It's
O'Doul's.
definitely not O'Doul's.
It was non-alcoholic, obviously. We couldn't have any of the fun stuff.
Right.
But yeah, 21 right there. That was fun stuff. But
Right,
yeah, they
so-
got me. Signed me up. I joined, and one time, like I said, got to do that.
I remember you guys would come home on the weekends, or not weekends, but you'd get like a week off or whatever on your leave. I'd always be here partying, waiting for you to get back.
The majority of that stuff came once I got to Fort Campbell, which was after my deployments to Iraq, and then I ended up going to Afghanistan with the 101st Airborne down at Fort Campbell.
So you've been to Iraq and Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And and when I got to Afghanistan, we had like Humvees on steroids. They were just a lot bigger. Still didn't do anything cool. I mean, they were just a lot bigger in a lot less places. But we had to go through this. It was supposed to be a road, I think, maybe, but it was more like a washed out creek. We were going down. It was makeshift roads, and it was like more like a creek. But these things were so top heavy. They're like jacked up Humvees, real tall. They get to wobbling. This old fella just tipped her right over.
Damn it.
That ain't the way. Nice and slow is not the way to get through this. Like, when in doubt, throttle out, boys, and we just.
What would you guys have, like big record convoys, or would you just winch it over yourself?
No, we had it's called an 88. So it was kind of like a tank, like an Abrams tank, but instead of having the big cannon on it, it had a boom that would fold over, and it was a wrecker. So it'd pick them up. Actually,
Yeah, the military's got some cool shit.
I got buried in a field one time and had to dig it out. I had a welding trailer on the back of this big old Hemet, and it was buried. Dude, it was like 6 foot by the time he dug it out.
Right.
He actually, the guy I'm referring to is one of the funniest guys that you guys would have like hit it off insane. He's freaking hilarious. He got killed in Iraq. Sniper got him.
Damn it.
And so I got the dog tags. I wear him, Hartman, Kane, and Asbury, the three I lost in my first tour, and he was funny. He was funny.
What was the what was the terrain like over there? Was it like sand and dunes, or
Some of
mountains?
it and
Not
mountains.
really.
So I was in the East Paktika province, and on that side, we were surrounded by mountains, literally 360 degrees.
Right.
Why the Army decided, hey, let's put a little operating base right here in the middle of a mountains where you can just walk out, shoot down, and right into our camp.
Right.
I have, for the life of me, I'll never understand. But they did. I mean, we had people that would come over, just step across the line, anywhere the border was for the country, They'd shoot the mortar off and step back, so we couldn't shoot at them. Couldn't do anything. By
Right.
the time you seen or heard anything, they were back across.
Damn it.
And then we had World War III because we shot,
Right.
it was wild over there. But as far as terrain, man, went from everything from you'd have a hard packed dirt surface to soft.
Is there trees?
No.
No trees?
I didn't see no trees. Rock was there.
Right.
But while I say that, I also have to say that these are some of the most ingenious people. Like
Right.
down there in the bottoms where they were at, they didn't get no water and have running water in it. It's like year one over there. And
Right.
mud huts. They would funnel.
What
out
the
of
hell are we
mountains
doing over
with
there?
Rainwater.
I mean, you think by now they could target.
Yeah,
know,
you'd think.
I
You'd
mean,
think.
hell, if they can watch me on my phone looking at my screen, they can do a lot of things.
Man, I've second guessed that a lot lately, going through all the crap I've dealt with after getting back in the VA and benefits and starting a small business for a disabled veteran, all that stuff. It makes you question a lot about what did we actually do? Like
Right.
dealing with all the political crap that's probably never to be spoken on a podcast.
I think we all, as a country, were pretty patriotic up until this last couple years.
Yeah,
Like when they started the vaccine and they kicked out a third of the force, like I lost a lot of respect. None of the troops, but the government and the antics they pull.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I think, especially when you got in, it was a very patriotic time.
Yeah, 100%.
The country seemed to be, all standing together. That we had to.
That's one of the things that makes you want to join is you seen 9/11 hit, and like my mom, she owned a bar in a little town close to us, and she done all this stuff for the 9/11 heroes and all that, and they sent her big plaques and all this, and she filled her bar with pictures of all the local armed forces
I remember.
members.
Yeah.
And when I got home, I brought back a flag that was flown over in Afghanistan, and all my unit, a bunch of them signed it, and we hung it in the bar when I got home.
Nice. Yeah,
I mean,
there's a
that was-
picture of it there.
Yep, that was right after I got home. I probably hadn't been home 3 or 4 days from Afghanistan.
Right. Well, your mom was very proud. She still is to this day. You got a hell of a mom.
Oh yeah, man, we could have a whole podcast just
I
on
know,
her.
I love
That
Bev.
lady was crazy.
Bev's a good woman, good-hearted woman. You got a good family. So, when you got back, you actually got blown up, or there was a bomb that went off, and you were part of that, where you got hit with it, and then you got home. You got benefits through the VA, all that stuff, but you started. Did you work at the VA? I feel like
I did.
you did, didn't you?
Once I got out, got all of my stuff started through the VA for my benefits. Then I got hired on at the VA, and I worked there until 21. I left in October 21, and that's when I started my own businesses. And at that point, I had 17 years in federal service.
Right.
But for me, it was never about the money. It was about taking care of the veterans. And our hands got so tied with all the politics that it couldn't do that anymore. And once that was no more a viable option for me, I walked.
Right.
I mean, just a few years from being able to draw retirement,
Right.
it's not worth it for me to stay.
But he is now the proud owner of the Struggle Bus
Oh, yeah.
and Hale's Transportation out of Carterville. You bought a bus and had it converted over to a party bus, so he does the party bus tours. We have the wine trail here, so
That's been a big hit.
there's a lot of tourists come and hit that wine trail. And it's nice to ride around on a bus and let somebody else drive.
Absolutely.
We've had his bus. It's got the pole, the dancing pole, and all that good stuff. The system.
No party bus is complete without a stripper
Without a
pole,
stripper
right?
pole, yeah. And in addition to the Struggle Bus, you've got veteran-owned small business of Hale Transportation,
Yes, sir.
and that's where you do hot shot driving, local transportation. He can be in California in 2 days if you want something moved. So
We make big things happen. I try to, at least. I've hauled to Pennsylvania, northern part of Pennsylvania, and I've been down to Florida a few times, all over locally.
Yeah, and you've hauled for us. We use TJ here locally. You know, when we need stuff, Hales is who we call to deliver. We've had you deliver material to the job sites, tractors, all that
Absolutely.
good stuff. So hit him up if you need any of his services, especially if you're in the 618 area code.
It's one of the benefits of having your MOS transpire outside of the military. Is that's what I did. Was 88 Mike. I was a driver, so being able to drive and haul, that's what I did in the military and
Right.
overseas. So bringing that home and being able to contribute locally to my community was a big thing for me.
And that is a veteran-owned small business, so support your local veterans, any veterans really, and call Hales Transportation.
Well, so in addition to Lisa and Jesse just being the awesome people that they are, when I reached out thinking about my ideas, I messaged Lisa and I'm like, hey, what did you guys do? How'd you do this? And who'd you talk to? So she directed me to a small business development center over in Carbondale. So I called them, decided to go that route. They were backed up with lots of people that were trying to get information to build their own businesses. So it was a little slow for my pace, and I kind of dug in and started researching everything. So then I figured out how to use the VA and the benefits from my disability, all the hurdles that I had to go through with it in order to make a certain percentage, to get the tax breaks, to get federal contract. You get a priority listing for federal contracts. You know, on sam.gov, there's
Right.
listings for everything.
For everything.
And being a veteran, it puts you ahead of the line. So, I mean, it's very beneficial. There wasn't a whole lot to it, provided my documentation, which, as a veteran who's just on your disability or anything benefits wise, you're going to have all that handy anyway.
Right.
Get it all filed. I went through my CPA, and he sent in for my licensing, my name, everything that entails, and he checked the veteran-owned small business and
Right.
got all my fees waived, everything that he could, and from there it's just a title.
Right.
Unless you announce it, nobody really knows. It benefits you on the backside with the government, but nobody really knows it unless you're directly asked.
Right. Yeah, that's a veteran-owned business. We, as a business, not being veteran-owned, we offer a 10% discount on the labor for veteran police, firefighters, stuff like that. So, as May Excavating, we offer that 10% discount to our customers on the labor end.
That's very awesome because I find it more and more these days that people, old restaurants that used to give military discounts, have gotten away from it.
Really?
It's not as common as it used to be, or as one would think it
We
should
can turn that around.
I'm striving for that. I also offer a military discount, first responders, any of our local heroes. You guys feel free to give me a holler if you ever want to book it, because what I'm going to do, because I'm so proud of one of my good friends and everything that he's accomplished and starting this podcast and letting it rip. If you subscribe, like, what is it they do these things?
Subscribe, like, share.
You do all these things, and you can answer a question about one random episode of my choosing. You can answer that. I'm going to give you a discount of 10% if you want to rent the bus. So,
All right.
shout out to Reckless Success. Jesse
Appreciate
and Lisa are awesome people. Get on here and check them out.
Yeah, we appreciate that, TJ. We'll have you back on here again soon. My plan is just have buddies and rotate through them and tell stories. Most of my buddies are all entrepreneurs. I will have, some people that are associates that are entrepreneurs that I didn't do these crazy things with, but most of it's going to be just the story of how we went from nothing to where we sit today. And it was pretty reckless. Not in the last 10 years. Last 10 years have been nice and structured, but the 10 years prior to that were pretty wild. So if you guys could just like, subscribe. We're going to be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Like, subscribe, and share it. Tell your friends about it. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.